Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Seth. Today I'm going to be giving an update on IDEX as requested on Twitter. Please find my previous DD in the description below. So this is going to be more of an update for July. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to help the channel grow. Drop a like before we go on and share the video at the end if you like it. So without further ado, I'm going to go through technical analysis. Then I'm going to share some findings that I found very interesting and what I think about the stock. There's some good news at the end, and stay in to watch it. So first things first, you get to see the MACD has gone through a negative reversal around around 30th of June, and it has kind of gone for almost quite a little. You get to see it is flirting with the positive MACD, which is a sign for a positive reversal. Now, volume has died quite a little, which is fine, but with the MACD here, looks like good news. Average directional index shows that there might be a start of a new trend coming in soon, around 26.35. As soon as we hit the 30, that trend is confirmed. Volume percent R is sitting a little bit around neutral, a little bit closer to the overbought situation here. We need to look into the 1 hour perspective, and in terms of momentum, it looks like it has been hovering around zero momentum and the negative side of momentum all the way since early July. Now, the 10 SMA is below the 30 EMA, so that's a little bit of a bearish sign. But the stock price is above the 50 SMA and above the 200 SMA, which is good news. Moving on towards the 1 hour intervals, we get to see here that the MACD has been quite a little bit sloppy. Hasn't seen much. I mean, tomorrow, for instance, on Monday, it looks like it might have a negative day, which might be a little bit of a bad news for us. But I'm going to look a little bit in terms of longer term, let's say a week or so, and that's going to do that at the very end. Now, in terms of the 50 SMA and the 10 SMA, you get to see here different things that are happening. I mean, the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA has crossed on the 24th of July. That seems to be a good news there as well, so it's usually interesting to see. The stock price is under the VWAP, but it has been really not moving that much, so it's been touching around there. 30 EMA is above the 10 SMA, but you get to see that kind of play is almost changing. The 10 SMA is curving up while the 30 EMA is curving down, so you might have a little bit of a breakthrough sign there. Stock price, the average directional index is sitting in right now at a neutral, hovers back and forth in the 1 hour. Average directional index shows sloppy movement and zero momentum here, or very close to zero momentum. Let's go on to try to identify trends, and this would be very interesting for us. So before doing so, moving averages, we get to see that the stock hasn't done much in terms of the moving average band. I mean, it did kind of break that trend for quite a little, and it's not even really following it at this point. So I'll ignore this as it is. Moving on towards the stock price and the trends that we've seen. What we're seeing here is something very interesting. We can consider this one forming that is going to be having a multiple bottom. So consider this one a bottom and this one a bottom, and this one, if it dips just quite a little, I mean, even at this point, you can literally see almost a triple bottom forming, which is a bullish sign. Now, we did have this massive, almost looking like an inverted cup situation here with a handle, and that was a bearish sign, but it looks like we might actually be accumulating for a little. Head to the good news here, and I'll just mention that in a second. Let's go on to quickly through the 1 hour, the 1 hour interval. And what we're going to do is going to try to look into Fibonacci Retracements quickly and see if that actually holds. So we can get to see here quickly Fibonacci Retracements is not holding nicely on this one. So what I'm going to do quickly is use the 3 months 1 day. I'm going to mark the $4 mark, and I'm going to mark this 37 cents mark. And what you get to see here is that there is a support of 122 and there is a resistance of 175. Moving on towards as well further to 17. On the 1 hour interval, we're going to identify what the traditional supports and resistances are. And we get to see there is a support around 127 that was a resistance before here. There is another support around 1.2. There is as well another resistance happening around 130, let's say. Another one around 134. Another one around 1.4. Another one as well around 1.57. 162 over here and over here, and then we can say somewhere around 1.7 over here and over here, and then following the 1.75. So it has room to grow over there. Trends and whatnot, I just mentioned, multiple bottom could be a thing we're looking at, or double bottom. Now moving on towards the good news. Here, hold on with me. So before we go on, well, there is one little bit news here, the S3 form. Meanwhile, that doesn't say there's an offering happening, let's say in the next week or so. It does give me a little bit of a warning sign that they do need to raise capital. And that's expected with companies that are moving in such operations. Could be a warning sign that there could be as well an offering sometime in the future. But I would imagine that they would have to release a bit of good PRs in order to put that offering. And usually what companies are looking for is to try to release the least amount of shares additional, raise the price through good PR, and then drop an offering. You'll find that trend quite a little often. So once you start seeing a lot of PRs and start reading running, it might be the last chance to sell if you're holding only for a short term before an offering comes. Now, I'm not sure even if an offering would come anytime soon, but it's just an interesting read here on S3 that they're looking to raise around $250 million. They don't say exactly that they're going to be offering shares, but it's more of raising capital. Could be more of line of credits, but I really doubt it. It's usually by that here we will determine of the time of each offering, sell common stock, preferred stock, warrants, or a combination of the securities of units for an aggregate initial offering price of up to 250 million. So all it could do is just sell warrants, but usually what happens is stocks and units and warrants. Now coming into institutional buy-ins, and you get to see that there is still institutional interest coming into it. In the month of July, you did have a few companies here and there buying in some shares. The last ones were on the 24th, so that's on Friday. This company here, these two companies here, have bought in quite a little, around 7,500 shares and 5,000 there. This one is the most interesting one for me because they bought around 50,000 shares in there. And so what I want to look at here quickly is to see what is the cap on there. And what we're seeing is $940 million with only 5 open positions is what I see. But a lot of different transactions happening. Of course, all of them are blocked at this point. Creative Planning here had put a call. Let's see what their industry is looking like, or what their portfolio is looking like. Another one here, Stars Ohio, have decreased their amount of shares, but it doesn't show how much shares they had. So interesting that to see there is quite a bit of interest now happening here. Moving on forwards, you get to see here Creative Planning is, well, this one doesn't show. Okay, it's around $34 billion. So yep, they're a big buck company. Insider trading, I don't see any insider transactions happen from 2015. A little bit alarming, but at the same time, some board members don't prefer buying in shares, so we'll just ignore that a little. Moving on to the next events and whatnot. So of course, this is a website, you've seen it gone before. Their next event is their earnings on August 11th, so I expect that closer to the first or closer to the first week of August and the first week of August, you might see this one people start picking it up in anticipation for earnings. Usually company like this one, I would expect it to happen. Now, there is as well other factors such as, let's say, if the market crashes or tanks. Of course, this is factors outside, but we're talking in a normal situation that would happen, that it would run closer to the earning. Now, one thing, so that's good news, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to be doing next. Just one thing that I want to mention, and I've seen it a lot, is IDEX Corporations is usually confused with the IDEX ticker. IDEX Corporations, their ticker is IEX, and when a lot of people see IDEX logos in pictures and whatnot, they automatically attach it to Ideanomics. Just a misconception that I wanted to raise around, just for you to be careful for what news you're looking at. And if you see an IDEX logo, it's not IDEX the ticker. Usually companies go on with their name, so it will be Ideanomics. Now, what would I do for this stock and how would I trade it? Now, I did trade it quite a little bit before, and I did sell before the massive jump as well, and that's basically was a trade that I did. Going on forward, I would consider buying in a little bit closer to around the $1.2 range to the 1.16, or somewhere around 1.16 to 1.23 range. Why am I going to be doing that? Because it signals a double bottom or multiple bottom. Earnings is on August 11th, and I expected to see a little bit of a run. Even if that run is 175, I'm not talking about $5, $6, $7, and it could be possible with the right PR. but I do expect there is a run towards their earning before even an offering comes. And that's just my expectation, in my opinion, based on what I've seen before. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure you mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and you have a wonderful day.